Hello and welcome back to the last days. Minas Tirith has fallen and Gondor is no more. And now what we're going to do is we're going to have the War of the Two Towers upon us. So the War of the Two Towers, well, what is that? Well, you can see here that, well, basically nothing much has changed. However, that is very quickly going to be a little bit different. So as you can see, here we go. We have a messenger, aka a Nazgul, saying treachery, unforgiven. But I didn't do anything. No one opposes Paradur and lives. All right, so yeah, he's obviously going to be kind of annoyed because he's not even speaking to me. I've walked on. I've walked on. I'm done. And yeah, there you go. So there's the Lone Rider. He's obviously telling me what's up, and generally. Now we are at war against Mount Gundabad, which I gotta say is somewhat unfortunate, to be honest. I feel like that's kind of sad. We are at war against Isengard as well, which is not that big a deal. The Dunlander camp as well, and we seem to not be at war against Mordor, which I was actually kind of worried about. So it seems like Rune allies itself with Mordor. So this is the big twist that I was talking about throughout the series. Basically, at the very end, when you have eliminated all of the good factions, quote unquote, then you have this happen, where you're actually fighting against Saruman and Isengard because they are attempting to wrestle control from Sauron himself. And obviously we are not really appreciating that, because the Dark Lord himself is not supposed to have any kind of competition, thank you very much. And now we are in a bit of a spot of bother because I actually have no food. Fantastic. Right. I'm going to have to head over there as soon as possible. There we go. Okay, I actually managed to make it. Now, bear in mind that I do not want to lose any units at all. If I lose any units, I have failed miserably as a commander, and I might as well just uninstall the game straight away because I am literally that bad. But thankfully, we did make it here. I'm going to go over to Morannon as well. Hopefully they're going to have a couple of supplies or something. But yeah, the main problem that we're having right now is the fact that I don't have any of those advanced camps to buy from any further, because obviously Rune is now having to deal with Mount Gundabad. And that's exactly where we're going to go next. We're going to go up here and we're going to try and wage war against Gundabad, because they are, of course, under the control of Isengard. They are the ones that have their allegiance. Moria is relatively similar. However, Dol Guldur is on our side, so it is going to be a basic, well, I suppose it's an east versus west thing, by the looks of things. Because yes, the Isengard people are on the left, and we have Moria on the left, and we have Gundabad on the left, and then everyone else is on the east. So that's actually kind of amazing. Anyway, let's see if we can get over to Dol Guldur relatively fast. But yeah, that is the big twist as I was talking about, and generally I think it's really cool that that happens because it's very dynamic, and if you're playing this for the first time, then you have no idea that that's going to happen. You think to yourselves, oh, Gondor has fallen, fantastic, I am victorious, and so on. And then no, then you get that message. Then you get the message that the War of the Two Towers has begun, and you're going to have to fight against former allies. And personally, I felt like, well, Gundabad and ourselves actually did a pretty decent job. And look at this, Troll Cave, well, Moria and all of those places are going to fall very, very easily. However, because we have been working so closely with Gundabad, I personally don't think it's going to be that easy for us to do anything here. However, I have a massive amount of really good units, and you can see exactly what I mean by that. Look at these guys. So I've basically just been waiting around for quite some time for the war to start, because I obviously didn't really want to get into any kind of battle to sort of mess up my amazing army, because it is just so good. It really is fantastic, and I wanted to try and maintain its integrity as much as possible so that we can utilize it against our newfound enemies here. So I'm hopeful that we will be able to do something like that. However, the problem is we now have an issue where we are going to have to wait. And Gundabad itself is extremely difficult. And there we go. Okay, so these places are now marching. Oh, what? What? The forces of Oh, really? I'm very surprised about that. I was not anticipating that at all. I thought to myself, no way. There's no way that they'll be pushed back. Master Fionor has been pushed back as well. I'm actually wondering whether I can... Hello there. Alright, now this is going to be relatively simple for us, in my opinion, because we have such a significantly strong army. Yeah, there's no way. These guys, even if they have 262, there is no way these guys will be able to deal with us. Not with the army that I currently have. The army that I have right now is, in my opinion, maybe unstoppable. It very much depends if the enemy has trolls, which I assume they of course do. But just look at the amount of cavalry I have. I literally only have cavalry. So this is going to be extremely interesting to see what happens. Let me see if I can maybe do some damage. And this is a stark contrast in terms of not fighting men anymore. Bear that in mind. We're not fighting men anymore at all. They don't seem to have any trolls, by the way, either, which is actually fantastic. Because I was a bit dubious about fighting those. But yeah, as you can see, Balkoth Horse Archers, I mean, just look at them. They are insane units, and obviously we have the Warlords rushing in there as well. We have a decent amount of surgery skill. It's highly unlikely we're going to be suffering too many casualties as a result. And these goblins just don't have anything on us whatsoever. They are literally just going to die. And even if we do end up losing a couple of units... Oh, there's the troll. Oh, I can master it? Yeah, I can master my mount. I thought it said you can master the troll, but no, it's about mastering the mount. Okay, well, very good to know. Okay, so can I actually shoot this troll? It doesn't seem to be doing much, to be honest. Okay, 58 damage. That's pretty good. 66 and a little bit more. Hello, little goblin. Thank you very much for attacking me. I appreciate it. So let me actually just do some damage to these guys. Yeah, so these trolls are obviously going to be somewhat problematic because they have so much HP. It's very difficult to get them dead, but they move so slowly that I personally don't think we should have any problems whatsoever. How many people have we lost so far, by the way? We've lost 8. Okay, well that's... I think that's acceptable, but the unfortunate thing about that is that we're losing really high tier units, like super high tier units, and it's going to be a case of me having to return to our home base and recruiting some more from the barracks, even though obviously no one wants that. No one wants to be able to do that or has to do that, but generally I want to make sure that my army is kept up as much as possible. I'm hopeful that Rune and Jarl Helkaroth and all of our vassal friends will make their way back to Gundabad territory and actually start attacking them instead, because in my opinion it's whoever is doing that. Basically, whoever goes back to their territory first is going to have the advantage. We only lost Falcon Hawksman. Falcon Hawksman? No. Falcon Horseman we lost. Okay, that's actually not even bad. I think that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. Let's take some rangers, Swordsmen of Gondor. They can become werewolves. I won't be taking any of those. Oh, look at that. I actually advanced to level 29. That's cool. Okay, that's really nice. Let's see if I can make a... yeah, there we go. There's another werewolf. Fantastic. And Zigafel is obviously now wounded, so we do need to be a little bit careful about what we're going to do going forward, but we shouldn't have that big a deal. Okay, what about going in here? Isengard Advanced Camp has been besieged. Personally, I don't think Isengard can win against Mordor. I think it is a it's absolute folly for them to do that. I don't think that I don't think they have a chance. There is no chance that Mordor will be defeated by Isengard, at least in this particular campaign. If you were to play as Isengard and make sure that they're really, really high in their combat strength when the War of the Two Towers actually starts, then that's going to be perfectly fine. And I don't think you're going to have any issues. However, as it stands right now, they are so weak, and they really don't have a huge amount of combat strength available. And there we go. That's exactly what I was waiting for. The Gundabad Northwest Outpost has been besieged. So let's make our way up there. Alright, so I've actually headed in against this particular enemy. I'm not entirely sure if I'm even going to do this yet, because as you can see, it's basically my army against the enemy's army. Mainly because Jarl Helkaroth got himself murdered, basically. He's not dead, but he is almost, well, I mean, he's knocked unconscious and he's been sent back to wherever he came from. But yeah, this is going to be somewhat bad. I know we've just gone into a fight that is relatively similar, but we have to bear in mind that Moria is very, very different in terms of its combat strength than Gundabad, and they also have very different units as well. So I'm super, super worried about this. To be honest, I thought to myself, yes, we're easily going to beat Moria, but these guys, they have Warg Riders. And I don't know whether you know anything about Warg Riders in this game, but basically, as soon as you kill the Rider, the Wargs actually start running around and doing damage of their very own, which, in my opinion, is fantastic. It's fantastic for them, of course, not for me. And that's, in my opinion, the reason why Gundabad is, in my opinion, maybe the best Goblin faction, Goblin/Orc faction that you're going to have a chance to play as in the last days. Because, I mean, obviously that's a difference of opinion, but generally the siege maps are also extremely lucrative and advantageous for defense as Gundabad. But you can see here, this Warg right now is just running around us right here, basically just making it almost impossible for us to do anything. And they also have skirmishers as well, these horse archers. But yeah, the siege layouts are super, super good for them too. Makes it very difficult to basically do anything with attacking them. So that's the reason why I probably won't be going into too many. I'll probably just allow the AI to do their thing, and I'll just help them in field battles and things like that. Because I personally think that it is, I would say, probably almost impossible for the player to do much in the Gundabad ones, especially Goblin Town. Goblin Town is an absolute nightmare. I've gone in there before as my on my elf, I think. On my elf, I'm not entirely sure, but I have gone in there once before on something, and let me tell you, it was not the best experience. It was probably one of the worst experiences I've ever had in terms of a siege layout, but that's the whole point. It is one of those things where you would expect that to be how it is, because it is just so incredibly complicated. It's so dark. It's a mine. You're basically heading in there, and then you're like, oh, okay, what am I supposed to do here? You can't find your way around. It's absolutely insane. And generally, yeah, that's how it is. So it's going to be one of those things I think I will avoid for the most part. Now, thankfully, I think the trolls that we're seeing right here are not even that difficult for us to deal with, because the trolls are not actually capable of killing any of our units, because they are mostly using blunt weaponry, and that's obviously fantastic, because if they use blunt weapons, they cannot kill anyone, they can only knock people unconscious, and that's how blunt weapons work in Warband, with the exception of one of the mods. I think they changed it because people were utilizing blunt weapons in such an efficient manner that they changed it so that blunt weapons would actually inflict killing blows sometimes. And I won't say which mod that is, because I generally am not a huge fan of it, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you know. But yeah, anyway, that's what I'm saying, you know. Yeah, so generally trolls are not going to be that dangerous. The only thing that they do is really absorb a huge amount of damage. So if you have a lot of orc warriors or skirmishers or warg riders or something like that that are surrounding you, and you have a troll that all your units are focusing on, then it's going to be a bit difficult. But I apparently I shouldn't have even worried, because it feels to me like we're doing this relatively easily. I'm kind of surprised. Look at that. Yeah, I've taken some significant damage, sure, but look at that. I only lost 13 units and we eliminated 340 of the enemies. Wow, that's actually crazy. Okay, so we lost some horse archers. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Really not that big a deal. And look at that, I've been promoted to rank 38, even though that doesn't make that much difference at all. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, because they were defeated, we now get to take... Oh, yeah. We now get to take a bunch. Now, this is actually fantastic. Yeah, this is really, really good. So I'm pretty happy that I went in here now, because although I can still only take, you know, a very small amount of units, it's still going to give me enough to max out in the amount of units that I have. I'm actually wondering whether I should get rid of my Falcon Horsemen at this point, because they seem to die really easily. I'm not entirely sure if that's just me, but they really do. Not entirely sure about that. Seems like the Outriders of Rune are also really bad, but they do level up into Noble Riders that level up into War Riders, which level up into Warlords, and obviously the Warlords are fantastic. You can see them right here. They're really, really good. So I think I'll just leave them the way they are. There we go. Let's take some good quality metal scraps while we can, and there we are. All right, so we actually saved this guy, which I think is pretty good. Let's go into our character screen right here. Let's level up our agility. Not entirely sure if I want to do that. Now I'm actually wondering, if I go for agility here, I will then eventually get 21, obviously. I will get 21 agility, and then I will level up what? I'll level up mounted archery. I don't need that. I'll level up riding skill. I don't really need that either. So I'm thinking maybe what I want to do is literally just level up my strength more, or level up my intelligence more. Because if I level up intelligence, what am I going to get? Well, I could potentially get some more pathfinding, because I need one more level to be able to get some more pathfinding, which might make sense. And I could also spec into Iron Flesh, or I could spec into Power Strike. Personally, I don't think I really need more Power Strike. I already have 5 in that, and generally, it's good. Sure, it's absolutely fine. But I find that we're actually killing things relatively quickly already with the weapon that I already have. So it doesn't really make much sense for me to spec into it more. So I'm actually going to go for 71 HP, because I think that the HP is really going to be quite useful for us, especially against small units that have a swarm mentality, because obviously at the moment what they're doing is they're primarily chunking us as much as they possibly can in a way that pretty much makes it very likely that we will die from like 1,000 cuts. You know what I mean? We'll have that kind of thing happen to us, where we'll have a death by 1,000 cuts, and then it will be very sad, because we will just take damage over time, and so on and so on. And it won't just be a big lump sum of damage, it will be very, very slow. So that 4 extra HP could make a bit of a difference. So we'll see what happens. Mordor is being defeated. What? What is going on? What is going on down there? That's very strange in my opinion. I have no idea. But anyway, let's just sell a couple of these things. There we go. Bear in mind that I believe Dale and the main rune camp share. Yeah, they do. They share their inventories, which is obviously somewhat problematic as well. But there you go. Okay, so basically that is now the next stage of the campaign, where we are going to have to fight against Gundabad, Moria, Isengard, the Dunlanders, or Dunlendings, however you want to call it, and we are allied with Dol Guldur and all of the other Mordorian men, as well as Mordor itself. And I suppose we'll see what happens. I'm not going to go into Goblin Town ever. I might go into Goblin Town just to show you what the siege layout is actually like, but personally, I hate that place. It's really bad. But I might go into Gundabad, because it is Gundabad, so why not? Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.